All right, moving right on to the next topic of conversation, which is AI agents and the next frontier, basically, of automation in journalism. And presenting the use case we have for this topic is Tina Rogers, Head of Editorial AI and Automation at Better Collective, Digital Sports Media Group. Tina will show how Better Collective are prototyping agents to generate and distribute content efficiently. Please welcome Tina Rogers.
One? Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. A year ago, I was sitting among you guys, and I was even working with some of you as well in what I now call the legacy media business. I changed job, I think a week after the conference last year, to Better Collective. And I know some of the sports fans here know what it is, but some of you don't. It is a sports media group, only digital. Started out from a very different starting point than regular media with publishing traditions that go 100 years back at times. So it's 20 years old, but has purchased along that 20-year journey quite many global media businesses now. So you might know Svenska Fans, sports community, Tipsbladet in Denmark, Le Transfer in France, Action Network in the States, Latin America, we have a lot of soccer news. So only sports, only digital. So we have been doing a lot of cases, like we have also seen here, that is supporting the journalist in their production process. That was not what I was invited here to talk about. Instead, I was invited to take it a bit further, to see how we also working with content assistant, yes, for versioning and translation, but also how are we working with automation, and how are we working with agents. And I will say that is early stage. So to begin with, we approach this by saying, okay, how can we optimize the process of content production? Content production is heavy, cost heavy, and we need to do it cheaper. We are a company that is there to, yes, engage sports fans, but also to make money. And which content types can be created in a faster, more efficient way. So a part of me being a journalist originally is also thinking, and then on the back of that comes the better quality, but we can all hope for that, right? So the first case is we made this content hub. Since we have so many brands, sites across the world, it makes sense. A lot of content is created. It is sports news. It doesn't really make sense if we create the same piece of content 8 times. That would be poor business. So could we create a hub where the editors across the globe are able to share this content? So that we created. I'll show you an example. There are currently like about 200,000 articles in there, and daily just being automatically uploaded in there. And then the AI part is basically just to give a summary, to rewrite it based on some simple rules, and to translate it if that is needed. So it looks like this. It's not rocket science in the sense. You can, as a journalist, you can get notification to what you can follow different tags, players, sports, sites, whatever. You can then see the original article. Okay, this one was created in Spanish. You are now working for, let's say, Tipsbladet in Denmark. Then you want it translated into to Danish, and you want to create a variation for that site. There are certain few things the journalist can choose, but it is really thought to be not an editing tool. It is just to do something very fast and share it across. Then the journalist will have a draft in the CMS they can continue working on. So yeah, simple as that. But we wanted to see then, can we also do more content automation here? Can we also create the content from scratch? So in order to find out which content does it make sense to create from scratch, we did a content audit. So for one thing, to also see what are the content pieces that are really cost heavy. What are they? Are they are they creating the value that is? So this is a good, let's say, business case for each content type, or are there ways to do work smarter with this? So this is very roughly there's granular categories under this, but you will see probably a lot of you guys here that are in the news industry would be happy to see that we came to the same conclusion there. For now, it is best just to support the journalist with tools, but up at the top, we also had some types of content that are very static. It could be a guide to understand the rules of American football, for instance. That doesn't really change. So you just you don't want to make that piece too many times. Then we have, since we have access to a lot of sports data, we have great possibilities there to make some content where we create value on the back of that. So we made this application here. The evergreen will be the guides. I will just only show you one example here, but it is, again, this will not win any awards or journalism prizes, but it is, so if you are a sports fan, then you are potentially interested in a Champions League match leading up to, so it's a content type where you get the preview. The head-to-head, it will look like this, where I cheated a little bit. You have a lot of data input. We use that to also see if there is errors in the content. But it's just a massive amount of data, basically, that the journalist can work with afterwards. And this is data heavy. This is not. It is styled when it hit the actually sites that are publishing it. So for here, that doesn't look necessarily great. What is great about it, though, is that it is so rule-based and so template-based that it is ranking pretty well. And like we heard in some of the other, or just here, with search are changing, yes, but there's still some content types where keywords really matter. So here, at the end of this year, the article gets copied, worked with, or maybe published, depending on what is, how do you really see the value of this. We can obviously create something that goes really deep. Would we choose to have journalists working on a third division in Japan for a very small league or something? Our audience might not be that big, but there might be a smaller audience for it if it's relevant for, if we can create it where it is still affordable. So we looked into seeing, okay, here it is still time consuming for the journalists. They still have to choose a tournament, choose a match. There's still a lot of clicks in it. What if we can automate some of that? How far can we actually go? So now instead we had a legacy system. We tweaked that a little bit. And then now the content creator just have to start a batch creating, saying, for instance, all the Premier League matches that will be played in the following weekend, I would like that created. And it's a similar front end that is matching then the creation you just saw. And then depending on the braveness of the site owner. You can auto-publish it, and it will look something like that. Or you can have it as a draft and edit it a little bit if you still like human in the loop. But there is, for some of the brands now, they just want volume for this type of content. That frees up the time for the journalists to actually create more stories that where this still applies the great storytelling skills from human beings. So, that was part of that. Then there was a big hype about agents that didn't go unnoticed, especially not from, like I started out by saying, we do not just have a strong publishing and content tradition. We have a lot of people that are quite techie, let's say, in the mindset. So of course they come Monday morning and they say, hey, have you heard about agents? What can we do with that? What if we mirror the steps that a journalist goes through? What can we create with that? So I was a little hesitant, let's say, but nevertheless, let's see what can actually be done. So we picked a form of sports news, transfer news, that is rumor-based anyway. We have a French site, La Transfer, where it even has a section called rumors, because it is essentially what it is. It will start usually, maybe on social media, maybe in a feed the sports journalist is following, but it will look a bit like this, that the initial trigger, and it will be the same process for the sports journalist, that you're monitoring various sources, let's say. So here we started out with a social media curator. That's the first agent that sets things off. It is monitoring various things on X, and then when a tweet is found, then the researcher gets started, and then the sports writer, and then of course the fact checker, and then the internal link builder, because that's also a part of the process if we want to have a full article, that the journalist sits and finds some relevant links. And then the publisher. So, and then this agent crew had one clear goal, that it needed to independently to be able to create a sports site and the sports articles to go on that. So it looks like this. And there will be various problems that we can discuss afterwards with that. But here's the result. So very simple structure. We had a domain already that wasn't in use. The agents publish here. This is, we're not promoting this, let's say. We're using it as a playground, but mainly to test out how far can we actually go with these agents. So the transfer news were not that complicated to create. So of course the creative guys are like, well, we also have what I just showed you, the match previews. Why don't we also make an agent flow for that and compare the qualities between our old school way of prompting that with chain prompts and a rag chain? What if we do that with agents? So so then we did that too. Then the trigger is on a time every day. We see if there is that type of content available based on the data input we have, and then something like that is created with the same thing that you saw before, where it is pretty structured again. Not a lot of flexibility. If you're a very creative journalist, then you will be bored. Maybe the users will also be bored, but I don't think there should be a standalone site in that sense. How we're using it now is that we can take part of the logic from what we've learned here and support some of the other sites we have, where 90% is human generated, but 10% is AI generated. It would be like for now. So there's of course also a little thing about images, right? I'm not going to go into a big discussion about that. Just saying that it is also a place where we can play around and see what is possible. And just because it is possible is of course not the same thing as running with it, but it gives us a way to play around with a variation of things. And I think one of the lessons, though, that is most important from us is that doing a thing like this is really sparking some internal discussions with legal, with the editorial staff, and with the tech, of course. And when you are asking here, oh, is there a lot of Gen Z? I work with a lot of Gen Z. And they don't ask the same questions as we are discussing here today at this conference. So, just the last learnings here from that. Still very early days for agents. When we're trying to scale this, we do run into some technical issues that requires a bit more knowledge for us. But this was done, I think, 5-6 months ago we made this. So a lot has already happened now if we continue on with it. Some AI-generated content, we do measure how does it compare to the equivalent content made by humans. And we cannot say that it is as good, but almost. And for some content types, it actually does rank better and does give a fine engagement. I think some of the things that this discussion that also comes out from these discussions is that some content should simply not be made at all. Not by people, not by AI. And that is what I'm kind of hoping that this whole AI discussion will lead to as well. That there are a lot of really bad content out there, and some of it we are also creating. So, and then data is key for consistency and quality for some of the products that we are playing around with here. It is really crucial with data. And last thing, because I'm also told that I'm running over time here, I think the key takeaway really is from what I have here is the collaboration between various disciplines is crucial going forward. I have developers that come to me and say, this is really great, look what I can write now, and I'm a journalist actually. Did you know? No, I did not, and I still don't see it from what you're creating here, but they think it's great, right? And on the other hand, I have people, not from a developer team, not from tech side, they're telling me, hey, I made this prototype this weekend, and isn't it great? I'm ready to have it scaled. And the developers are crying, right? It is not exactly following protocols and stuff, but we can all code a little bit, we can all write a little bit, we can all storytell a little bit. The quality is the difference. So I think what we've heard, what I'm just going to end with here, is what we've heard from a lot of people here is the key thing is how do we actually stay relevant? And it doesn't really matter if we are a developer, work with data, work with content, storytelling or whatever, but how do we stay relevant? That's it. Thank you.